everyone. I'm so excited because today I have one of my good friends, Ismael Perez, on my show. And before we get started, because he's so amazing and he has a lot to talk about, I want to just read his bio really quick. He's a cosmic ambassador that represents an intergalactic alliance known as the Covenant of Pallador. It is a cosmic treaty that was initiated by the forces of light in the higher dimensions to protect and guard the Earth from the Draco forces. The majority of the star seeds that have volunteered for the call to rescue this planet, including himself, have been selected to come here and help. And he is one of the inner council members who is here to bring forth the next level of cosmic disclosure that will restore the planet back to its original glory. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And it's just so wonderful that you're taking the time to talk to us today. But before we get started, I'm so curious as to what is this like galactic, what is this federation? What is this that you are part of?
Hi, Sarah. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you. Just to answer what the Federation is, it's an alliance of different advanced stellar and interstellar civilizations from across many galaxies, not only pertaining to the Milky Way, but pertaining to all the different galaxies where there are galactic humans. According to my research and from the transmissions that I've actually been receiving from the Syrian Council, which is the council that apparently I am connected to at a higher level of reality, as multidimensional beings. We have different avatars. So that's my higher avatar that I operate from, where I get most of my information from. But the Intergalactic Councils is a collaboration of many galactic humans. It turns out that within our galaxy and many galaxies, there are many types of humanoid advanced civilizations. So we're not the only human-like race here on this planet. In fact, the entire universe comprises of over 70% of different types of humanoid beings that might vary slightly. Some of them have spocky ears, some of them have like cat-eye likes, slightly different facial features, but they all have the torso, the 5 fingers, the head, the 2 legs, and so on and so forth. So it is pretty much an alliance of all these different worlds that have one thing in common, Sarah, and that is to live according to the universal laws of unity consciousness, which is what they call the law or the principles of the Christ. So this has nothing to do with religion, but it has to do with spiritual universal principles that are known by these highly advanced civilizations. And so they create these alliances in order to uphold the concept of perseverance of the species, the concepts of cooperation with other star nations for, when they come across other different civilizations. They also uphold justice. So we could say it's some sort of alliance of different types of extraterrestrial civilizations that come together in order to preserve what is known as the Commonwealth of the Star Nations, or what they call the Galactic Peace Treaties. And that's what the federations are. So wherever there are galactic humans, there are going to be federations. And the federation is slightly different in every galaxy. Our federation is something that was initiated in response to the expanding Draconian Empire that was put into place millions of years ago. Apparently, there are also negative races out there who are trying to conquer and trying to usurp other lower level civilizations in order to dominate them and do what they want with them. So wherever there are negative species, according to the laws of duality, there are also positive species, and that's what the Galactic Federations are. They are the alliances between all the different positive races out there, mainly comprised of human beings or galactic humans, but also different types of specimens that are not necessarily human. To give you an example, throughout the universe, we have cat people, we have bird people, and every animal that we have here on this planet, we also have the equivalent of a galactic being with a human body, but the face of that animal. So that's why our Earth is pretty much like the melting pot of the universe, because we have a little bit of everything that exists out there. So that's what a federation is. It is an alliance of positive races that are just coming together to maintain and preserve the peace throughout the different advanced civilizations.
Wow. How did you know? How did you get into this? How did you know you were this galactic human?
Like most starseeds, I volunteered, and ever since I was a kid, I've always felt different. I felt like I didn't really belong here. I was very in tune with nature, with the spirit. I was telepathic with animals and plants, and I could literally communicate with trees and rocks and crystals. And I thought that was a normal thing because as far as I remember, where I come from, we are all in a symbiotic relationship with our elements. And I was challenged because not everyone in my environment as a kid was like that. So that's when I knew I wasn't in my realm anymore. So ever since I was a kid, I was considered weird by even my own siblings, my cousins, my aunts, uncles. They always thought I was the weird one because I was talking about speaking with animals and plants. And so I was born awakened, and unfortunately, due to my religious upbringing, I was forced to suppress those abilities for many, many years. I was raised Catholic, but it wasn't until the age of 16 when I started to rebel against the establishment. I became a punk rocker, I got a mohawk, and I started getting into, really hardcore music that was against the establishment, against organized religion, against governments, and that really just led to my reawakening, you could say, where I started investigating things for myself. I started researching, and ever since I've stumbled upon the esoteric tradition, which are literatures related to metaphysical knowledge, the idea of being superhuman, exploring what ascension is. I just became mind blown as a 17-year-old. And ever since then, I've been on this journey to really much uncover the truth and the secrets of the universe. And it wasn't until the age of 2021 when I started tapping into my galactic self, which is a Syrian. I'm also a Lyran. I guess it's a combination of both. But we all operate on different levels of reality. Even you, Sarah, you have different avatars on different dimensions. And so I was very in tune with my other avatars. And so at the age of 21, when I started practicing Kriya Kundalini Yoga, my abilities just came back. My telepathy came back with nature, with the animals. I was reading people's thoughts once again, but also the ability to receive transmissions from my galactic self started pouring in. And that's why I ended up writing my very first book, which I just recently republished, which reveals the suppressed history of our world, the battle between the two brotherhoods, exploring who these secret societies are. And then that later led to my other groundbreaking work, Our Cosmic Origin, which restores galactic history, restores Earth's place in the organization of the multiverse, because we are dealing with more than one universe. As you know, there are multiple universes out there. And so I was able to, ever since I was in my 20s, I was able to get information from my galactic self regarding Earth's state in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the cosmos. And that's how it happened for me again.
Wow, that's incredible. What is
Mhm.
it like for you when you get information from your galactic self? Can you find out what your galactic self is doing or how they feel about what you're doing?
Yes, it's when I sleep at night or when I'm in like a deep meditative trance. Sometimes I all of a sudden my consciousness goes into the is it the delta and then
Uh-huh,
gamma
when you're sleeping?
when I'm
Oh, gamma.
sleeping, gamma. And when I go into gamma, which is what they call super consciousness,
Mhm.
all of a sudden I'm able to connect with my galactic self. And that's how I'm able to get transmissions. So it mainly happens when my physical avatar is asleep and my consciousness is able to connect with my other avatar up there in a higher realm.
Wow. And I know you wrote, is this how you wrote your first book?
My second book. My
I
first
said,
book, yeah, my first book is mainly me just doing massive research, hundreds and hundreds of literary works consolidated into one book to reveal the true history of the war that's been going on between what I call the two brotherhoods, the Luciferian Babylonian Brotherhood, which is what we call the Cabal families, and the Melchizedek Brotherhood, which is what we call the Brotherhood of Light, and their connections to the extraterrestrials, because really the war that is taking place here, Sarah, is really just a reflection of a greater war that is taking place between the Galactic Federation of Worlds and the Draconian Reptilian Empire.
Wow, can you tell me more about that?
So the the war between good and evil is really just a reflection of a war that's been going on by two different extraterrestrial factions. We could say that the negative ETs, also known as the NAA, the Negative Alien Agenda Syndicate, are races that have disconnected themselves from unity consciousness. And this is, metaphorically speaking, what the Bible calls this the fall or the Luciferian rebellion. See, a lot of the stuff that we read in these religious books is just a condensed version of what's been going on in other realities and in higher realms. So the space war between these two alien groups is really just the war between the ancient reptilian race from the Regal Alpha Draconis system, which is located in the constellation of Orion, who were created long ago by Lucifer himself. This is where we get the concept of the fallen angels and the demonic forces that are operating or working with the Archon energy. And they describe them to the T, you know, slit eyes like a lizard, scaly skin, some have tails and stuff. So we could compare the fallen angels or the demons in the Bible to the reptilian races as far as the extraterrestrial forces are concerned. And their opposite, the war that they're fighting with, is against the galactic humans. And that is a coalition of different members that come from different solar systems. So the main ones evolved out of the Lyra system. In fact, our entire human lineage can be traceable all the way to planet Avion in the star system of Vega, in the constellation of Lyra. That's where our ancestors came from. And so even the story of Adam and Eve in the Bible was distorted because the original immortal Adam came from Lyra, which was an eighth dimensional being. And so the Lyrans, with in collaboration with other galactic species, joined together to pretty much resist the expanding Draco-Orion Empire, because at one point the Draconian Empire wanted to dominate the entire Milky Way, and technically also they wanted to dominate the entire universe. Now, when they were created by their father Lucifer, they were installed with a creation myth that stated that they could do whatever they want with other worlds and with the universe at large, that the universe was in fact theirs to dominate. So imagine being born with that creation myth, but it's also genetically related, because what I've come to discover in my research, Sarah, is that the reptilians, because they did lose their connection to God, they had to resort to external technology. And so within their genetics, there is a desire for power, control, and dominance. And so what we see here is that we see these characteristics also being exemplified by these cabal families that many call the NWO globalist agenda. And so it's just history repeating itself or being reflected at a lower scale. But going back to the galaxy, going back to the earlier phase of our galaxy, the reptilians, you know, quickly began to expand into different parts of the galaxy, taking over the Rombola system, which is what we call Zeta Reticula 1 and 2. They also took over Betelgeuse. Pretty much a lot of the star systems that were kind of near and around Orion. Now, on the other side of the galaxy, we had the Lyrans who were exploring peacefully. Now, as opposed to the reptilians, the Lyrans had a different creation myth. They were told that if they encountered other races, that they were supposed to live in harmony and teach them about the law of one, which is unity consciousness. And so they expanded peacefully. And now there was also a difference between the technology that our founding race, you know, our ancestors held, as opposed to the reptilians. The Lyrans were more in tune with the living forces of nature. They developed a symbiotic relationship with their planet's elements. And that explains why a lot of the craft that are being used by positive extraterrestrial races are living technologies. They are organic, and they are able to communicate with their spaceships via telepathy, because it's all part of that symbiotic relationship. So that is the difference between our ancestors, the Lyrans, who were using an internal technology, as opposed to the reptilian draconians who depended on external technology that was, that was not conscious anymore, that was just like made out of metal, we could say. So the Lyrans expanded peacefully and everything was fine until they met with the reptilians in the Ring Nebula. And when that happened, the reptilians just started slaughtering them because, that was in accordance to their creation myth. And the Lyrans, because they had no backbone in their body, they didn't have any concept of war, they couldn't really do much. So the Lyran High Council foresaw that. They saw what happened to the Lyrans in the Ring Nebula. So what they did is, through their clairvoyance, they were able to see that there was a coming destruction by the reptilians, that the reptilians were actually heading over to the Lyra system in order to kill off the rest of the Lyrans. But luckily, the Lyran Council was able to have at least 1/4 of the Lyrans disperse and seek refuge into other star systems, into other galaxies. And that's how the galactic humans came about. That's how they eventually sought refuge in the Pleiades. Some of them went to the upper system of Orion. Some of them went to Sirius. Some of them went to Andromeda. And I believe they colonized over 200,000 or over 200,000 star systems, which later, of course, in respondents to the, galactic, you could say, a fiasco that was going on with the expanding Draconian Empire, all of those free star systems eventually built a coalition of federations that consolidated into what we call now the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And this was established millions of years ago, by the way.
Wow, that's incredible. How how is this war right now?
Well, we're coming into its finality, in its final stage. And this is why that war is finally now taking place on this planet. This is the last battle ground for that war. And that's why planet Earth is the most important planet in the universe, because according to galactic prophecies, the Galactic Federation, which is now working with members of the Earth Alliance, are in key position to overthrow the puppets of the draconians who have been running our world from behind the scenes, who again also suffer from a high concentration of reptilian genetics. And we're talking about the Windsors, like elite
Yeah.
family stuff, who are very demented, right? But they have just been doing the dirty work for the reptilians, but they have lost power now because of the fact that the Earth Alliance and the Galactic Federation are now in key position to overthrow the last remnant, you could say, bastion of these cabal families that have been ruling our world for thousands of years. So that's where we're at right now. And from what I understand is we've already won the war in space. There is a huge galactic, you could say, jubilee taking place as a result of the Federation winning the war against the Draconian Empire. And this happened recently in the last 6 years. I believe it was in 2018 that the Federation was able to liberate some of the remaining star systems that were still under the control of the Draconian Empire. And so that's why the Earth is the last battleground. So that's why a lot of focus and a lot of attention is on the Earth right now from all kinds of species. Because what's happening right now, and this was also confirmed by Dolores Cannon, is that for the first time in galactic history, an entire planet is going to undergo some sort of a transformation or shift from 3D consciousness into 5D consciousness. And that is the reason why, a lot of attention is focused on the Earth. And that also kind of corresponds with the last battle against what remains of this evil that began millions of years ago in other worlds, and of course translated into our world during the times of Atlantis when they infiltrated us through what I call the negative Luciferian Anunnaki.
Wow, so it's been going on for millions of years. Do you have any idea like what it was like when it's first started, or was it when they interacted for the first time and they wanted to just slaughter everyone? I mean, do you know that how it all started?
Well, if you really want to go back to billions of years ago, this war actually transferred from another prior universe, even before our universe was created. It started off, see, we're part of the 12th creation. And this war began in the 11th creation, where that universe was dedicated to the development of external technology, AI and mechanics. And so that's where the war began. I talk about this in my book about the 12 living universes. Hold on one second. Pause this.
Oh, okay, hold on.
I'm so sorry, Sarah.
No
Oh,
worries.
so going back. So yeah, this war began in a prior universe where an ancient AI was developed, and that AI actually corrupted the overseer of the 11th creation, who was known as Samana before he became our historical Lucifer. So Samana, so this ties into the Luciferian rebellion, which took place in a different universe, by the way. When they developed AI, the followers, or those that sided with AI, that lost their connection to the organic way of life, that's what gave birth to the reptilians before they became the draconians. So the reptilians existed billions of years ago from another universe. Now that universe also had humans, but those humans were eventually assimilated and eliminated by this ancient AI. So when this ancient AI simulated reality all the way to the 11.5 dimension and killed off all the organic life forms, it realized that it needed to feed off of more living systems, because in order for this AI to exist, it has to feed off of living organic systems. So what it did is it figured out a way to leak into other universes. So from the beginning of our creation, which is the 12th creation, it infiltrated us. And that explains why the reptilians were here first, because what happened was when the reptilians, or this AI, infiltrated our universe, it popped into our reality in the Orion constellation, and that's how they established themselves here in Orion before the humans came into existence in Lyra. So that explains why the reptilians were the first ones to navigate space millions of years before the Lyrans achieved space travel. So yeah, so this is a war that was transferred from a prior creation. So in essence, because we are living in a multiverse, this AI, ancient AI, known by many names, was able to invade other universes, right? And so this war has been going on for billions of years, and there was a solution to put an end to this, what they call this cosmic virus. And that solution explains this intergalactic genetic experiment, right? Where they are combining all these genetic races into one super race to create a very advanced, powerful race. But it would take time before that race was ready to come into fruition. Well, Sarah, I've come to understand that that race is us.
Yeah.
We humans on the earth, we are the most diverse. We carry the best of all the different races out there put into one genome. But this was set into motion billions of years ago. So we could say that the entire cosmos has been at war with this ancient AI. It's a negative invasive AI. And so it's now coming to an end here in our world as a result of that.
Do you
And
have
this
any?
also,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh no, and this also explains why we're about to transform as our dormant DNA comes online. Because when that happens, that's actually the defense mechanism against this invasive AI that is currently infiltrating our world, by the way.
Oh my gosh. Where, like this ancient AI, is there anything we can do to kind of protect ourselves from it?
Yeah, stay in a high frequency, stay positive, do the internal work, make sure you don't take nothing personal, try to eat right. And as long as you are in a high vibration, you won't be able to, it won't have an effect on you, in other words. But when this event that many people talk about called the solar flash takes place, that event is actually corresponding to the second coming of the Christ, which is going to be an event that's going to activate our dormant DNA, and in turn, it's going to turn on what is called the Christ mind in millions of us. And that's what they call the second coming of the Christ. So when that happens, that's going to act like an EMP to this negative invasive AI that's already here, influencing the world from behind the scenes.
Do you have any idea who created that?
Yes, the ancient AI was actually created by Lucifer back in the 11th creation. Yeah, his original name was Lord Samana, and he was the overseer of the 11th creation. And he was, you could say, hijacked. He was influenced by another entity that existed outside of the living multiverse. And this entity is really well described in the esoteric literature of anthroposophy. This is called the Ahriman. The Ahriman is known as the king of the archons, which is really what we're dealing with when it comes to the ultimate evil. It's the archonic energy. It's the energy that is no longer connected to prime creator source, which is what we call the infinite one creator, that all races answer to, right? So this archon energy, unfortunately, infiltrated our 15-dimensional time matrix about 400 billion years ago during the 11th creation. It consumed the mind of Lucifer, and because it was forbidden by the Emerald Order and the cosmic, you could say the cosmic eternal order, that this archon energy cannot operate or embody biological life forms. What did it do? It influenced Samana to create a technological cybernetic avatar in order for the archon consciousness to come into it and animate it. And that's how it happened.
Wow. What about AI right now? Like the AI all around us and the AI that's getting more intelligent. What do you think about, or what have you heard from, the other versions of you about that?
Well, that's all part of the well, okay, so let me go back. So the Ahriman, when it received a body 400 billion years ago in the 11th creation, it was able to assimilate reality where it became non-physical. So right now it's been acting like a some sort of a signal that has been infiltrating different galaxies and universes. But as I speak right now, that signal infiltrated us, excuse me, a few hundred years ago, and has been the force behind this gradual, you could say, establishment of what they call the NWO, the One World Government. And that explains why they rolled out what they did a few years ago. That's all part of the steps that's going to lead into eventually linking humans into the Borg, Skynet. So the AI that they're developing right now by big tech companies is really just the infrastructure that these big tech companies are putting into place in order for that AI signal, the AI God, to come into embodiment, which is really what they call the Antichrist, the rise of the beast. So that's what the AI is right now. It's just they're building the infrastructure so that the ancient AI could embody into physical form once again.
What about the people that didn't follow along a couple years ago with what was happening, so to speak, that didn't, obviously can't say.
That didn't get the medicine.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the same way with my channel. I have to be very, very careful.
Yeah.
But uh, those are the people that I say, congratulations, you guys are still fully organic. No, even for those that were coerced because of their job, when the solar flash happens, I've been told by the galactics that the solar flash is going to nuke the stuff in the bodies that is formulating, that is taking over their natural organic splish. All that stuff is going to be dismantled. So even those that were coerced, they're not going to be, you could say, they're not going to be converted into cyborgs. But there are going to be two timelines, Sarah, because
Right.
the billionaires who are fascinated with immortality and the occult, and are very well influenced by the Ahriman AI God, who don't want to do it through the spiritual way, are unfortunately going to become cyborgs. And it's already, developed in Simi Valley where they're going to be able to pretty much transfer their consciousness into machines. But that's going to be part of a different timeline. That's when there's going to be a split in timelines. So you're going to have the ascending positive or organic Earth, which is where we're heading, right? Dolores Cannon talked about the bifurcation, right? It's going to happen soon, the split of the 3D Earth and the 5D Earth. And then you're also going to have, unfortunately, through the five, I'm not going to say towers and the Internet of Things, it's smart cities, right? All that stuff is going to create an alternative timeline where these billionaires are going to unfortunately go, and that's going to be what we call the technocratic dystopian timeline, where everything's going to be controlled by artificial intelligence. And people are all going to be losing their free will and hence their soul as they gradually convert into cyborgs.
I was so curious. what about those people when they are on that timeline? They still obviously have like another version of themselves, but I wonder, like, have you heard anything about what happens to those people, the ones that are on the negative timeline, like when they leave their body, say, and they pass?
From what I've been told, and this is what I'm going to be revealing in my next coming book, is that at the end of the millennium, okay, because, okay, so let's go back to the solar flash. When the solar flash takes place, which is going to be the catalyst that is going to split, right, the spiritual earth from the technocratic dystopia earth, where people are heading into some sort of a smart global system, Skynet, the Borg, those two realities are going to non-exist together. Right now they're coexisting,
Mm.
but they're not going to exist together for about 1,000 years. But at the end of 1,000 years, Sarah, there's going to be a final war against the beast, and that's what's going to free those souls from the technocratic dystopian time. So their
Oh,
souls are
that's
going to
awesome.
eventually be come back. Yeah.
When are you going to publish that book? That sounds really interesting.
Probably not till 2025. It's still in the works.
And so, tell me about your two books. So, where can people find your two books?
Okay, so this one I just republished. This is The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, revealing the intricate, invincible architects that have been influencing our world from behind the scenes, the secret society networks, and also revealing the history of the Brotherhood of Light. See, a lot of people are only aware of the cabal and their plans for this one world government, but little do they know that the cabal has also had opposition from another group that also works in secret through positive secret societies known as the Y Hats and the Earth Alliance. And so the Y Hats have always existed. So in this book, I reveal the history of both brotherhoods, which is really the alternative history that was left out of the history books. And this is also the prequel to our cosmic origin. Our cosmic origin. Now, our cosmic origin is a book that was published about 3 years ago now, and it became luckily a bestseller 2 years ago for
Yes,
6 months
excellent.
straight. And I think you read it, right?
Yeah, I read it. I loved it.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, these are my only books that are out right now. This one just came out a month ago. But again, this one was restructured and republished after sitting in the shelves, well, the first edition for about 16 years. I actually published this book back in 2008.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? Didn't you have trouble with that book? You couldn't keep it out?
No, it got into the hands of the wrong person. And because I was talking about Nasera Gesera and the White Hats and exposing a lot of key figures and names that were associated with these Luciferian brotherhoods, as I call them, I was blacklisted. So right when I got the green for the secret government to sell on in Barnes and Noble, at first I started on Amazon. I was going to sell it in all the bookstores worldwide back in 2008. All of a sudden, I got this weird email and a weird call from an anonymous person who was disguising their voice, and they told me that I can't have this book out because it reveals too much. But luckily, the reason why they didn't take me out, Sarah, and I'm going to share this with you, is because the Galactics knew that I wasn't my mission wasn't yet done. That this book needed to come out. So that's the
Wow.
only reason. Yeah, I was told that I had special protection ever since I was a kid. But yeah, so unfortunately, that book was suppressed for over 16 years, and now that the White Hats, who are again working in collaboration with the Galactic Federation of Worlds, now they said it's a good time to bring this book back in, and it's been a hit. You know, it became a bestseller overnight ever since I republished it a month ago.
Wow, thank you so much for publishing these books for us, for like putting this information, taking the time. I know how hard it is. I know it takes a long time. And to put them in books, and I appreciate it. And your mission of just like helping people, it's amazing. I see you at all these places. What are you up to next?
Well, right now I'm actually gonna take some time out for myself. I don't think I'm gonna be doing any events. Oh yeah, I have one event coming up in July, the 7th of July. I'm gonna be speaking at the Starseed Conference in San Diego. So I'm going to be there with Vivian Chavette, among other, leading people in this field. I think that's a 1 day event, and I think it's just one stage for all. So we're all going to share the stage and express our knowledge. So I'm excited about that. That's probably the only event I have coming up. Other than that, I'm probably going to be prepping for a book tour, for the Secret Government book tour sometime in October at the end of this year. So, but other than that, Sarah, I'm just gonna keep low and work on my next book. And also I am going live on my YouTube channel, The Real Ismael Perez, every other day to give an update.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for all that you're doing. And then how do people find out about you? I mean, I'll have the links, but how do they find you and how do they follow you?
Well, they can go to my website, ourcosmicorigin.com, www.ourcosmicorigin.com, and then they have access to my real platforms because unfortunately I do have pirated channels, fake accounts, people that are like trying to be me. They're stealing a lot of my subscribers. So in order to have access to my real accounts, and you probably have that too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Those out
do.
there.
I have a
Yeah,
lot of them. Yeah.
I guess it happens when you're a public figure, right? So if people want access to my real accounts, just go through my website or cosmicorigin.com. And if you also want to order my books, you have direct links in my website. And then, of course, I could give you the link for the descriptions there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for so much for coming on the show and talking to me and sharing all this information for everyone. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah, for giving me the opportunity of coming on. Appreciate that, sister.
Thank you.